Hello and welcome to what will be our second episode of Viper Cricket's coverage of the 2017 JLT One Day Cup. In our last episode, we talked about the six, regular state domestic teams. But let's not forget that there is a seventh team, the Cricket Australia 11. Great initiative, I feel, to get young players who miss out on the squads for their respective states. They get the chance to play, should they be selected, in the Cricket Australia 11. So we didn't quite get around to talking about the Cricket Australia 11 in our last show. Time restraints and all. But we will talk about them in this episode. So without further ado, let's take a look at the lineup for the Cricket Australia 11. The Cricket Australia 11 lineup for this season reads Max Bryant, Jake Carter, Jackson Coleman, Daniel Fallons, David Grant, Clint Hinchcliffe, Jonathan Merlo, Harry Nilsson, Ben Pengelly, Mark Steckety, Henry Thornton, Param Apal, Bo Webster and Mac Wright. That is the lineup for the Cricket Australia 11. And if you don't recognise any of those names, don't beat yourself up too much, because these are the young players coming through for Cricket Australia. Most of them like under 19 players. But they will get the chance to play against the six state teams. And it's an interesting lineup. It'll be interesting to see how they go. Traditionally, the Cricket Australia 11 has been, to put it nicely, probably a bit of a pushover in this tournament. And I think that's mostly just because these guys have probably never played with each other before. New coach, new experience, new everything. And let's face it, they're playing like a few seasons ago, Mitchell Starc was playing and Nathan Lyon's playing. So they are versing pretty decent bowlers. But we'll have to look at this team. Going to focus on a couple players. And the first of which we're going to look at is a young guy from South Australia called Daniel Fallons, a leg spinner who has drawn comparisons to one Stuart McGill. I think he's going to be a key bowler for the Cricket Australia 11. I think if he gets good revs on his leg spinning, he'll definitely be a key player for the Cricket Australia 11. They'll need to take a lot of wickets because they're versing some very, very good batsmen, very experienced batsmen in these state games. So they're going to have some bowlers to match and to take wickets. And I believe that Daniel Fallons is going to be the man. With his leg spin bowling, he's going to be the man to take a lot of wickets for the Cricket Australia 11. Second player we're going to have a look at is Henry Thornton, who's coming off the back of a couple of injury problems, but he has been, in terms of speed, his speed, the speed that he bowls, is very comparable to Brett Lee. And I should know, I was at the Brisbane Heat vs Sydney Sixers game on the Big Bash at the back end of last year. Might have been beginning of 2017, but he is quick. Just watching from the side, you could see that he was very quick, and I think he did surprise a couple of the Brisbane Heat batsmen. He took 1 for 40 in that game, with an economy rate of 10. It was an economy rate of 10, and it was 40 runs off 4 overs, but I think him as well, he's going to have to be a wicket taker for the Cricket Australia 11, and I think he is going to surprise a couple of batsmen in this tournament. Originally from Canberra, such as like myself, and I think he's going to be a key player for the Cricket Australia 11 this season. Somebody else is going to be a key player for the Cricket Australia 11, and somebody who I didn't even notice missed out on playing for his state in the JLT Cup is going to be Mark Steckety. How can you leave Mark Steckety out of your squad? Well, that's how it's fallen. Mark Steckety will be playing for the Cricket Australia 11 this season. He was the second highest leading wicket taker in the Big Bash. He took 15 wickets at 17.6. Best bowling of 3 for 32. The only person who took more wickets than him was Sean Abbott. And it just staggers me that he got left out of the Queensland team, but he's going to play for the Cricket Australia 11, and I think, even though he's kind of a young guy himself, I think he can play a bit of a mentor role to a couple of these young guys. And they'll certainly be looking to him to take a lot of wickets and to kind of match that performance that he had in the Big Bash. Because the CA11 need wickets. And that is looking like a pretty strong lineup. I mean, if you have Mark Steckety and Henry Thornton, both of them bowling really quick, and if both can bowl well, certainly the Cricket Australia 11 can be competitive bowling-wise. Bo Webster as well, who usually plays for Tasmania. He's been left out of a squad, and he'll be playing for the Cricket Australia 11 as well. And he's certainly, I believe he's an all-rounder. He's no mug with the bat, that's for sure. And he'll certainly be a wicket taker as well for the side. A couple of these guys, such as Max Bryant and Jonathan Merlo, will be looking to earn a spot in the 2018 Under-19 Cricket World Cup. That's coming up. They'll be looking to secure a spot in that team with some strong performances during the tournament. And so it'll be interesting to see how they go. The coach for the Cricket Australia 11 is Matthew Elliott, former Victorian Bushrangers player, and certainly I believe the man that can lead the Cricket Australia 11 to a very competitive tournament. And I think we will find that the Cricket Australia 11 will be no pushovers this season. I think they will perform a lot better. I think they'll turn some heads in the process, and I think we'll see some great performances from some great young cricketers. It's interesting to note as well, just while we're on the subject of this, that 7 players who were with this side last year in the Cricket Australia 11, 1 o'clock, in the Cricket Australia 11 last year, 7 players are now actually playing for states this year, and they are Will Basisto, Josh Inglis, Sam Harper, Matt Short, Ryan Gibson, Arjun Nair, and Brendan Doggett, all playing with state teams this year. So I think that goes to show that the Cricket Australia 11 program, it works, because these states are now actually picking these players once they've had a go in the Cricket Australia 11. And I think this is a great solution for young players, because they kind of get a taste of playing one-day cricket before they get thrown straight into a debut with the state team. And I think that really works, and it's really beneficial, I believe. So, with that all said and done, it's time to see what the Cricket Australia 11 can do this season. I think they'll be a lot better, make a lot of runs, take more wickets, and they'll certainly be competitive. They won't be on the bottom of the ladder, I can absolutely assure you. So I mentioned in the last podcast that my pick to win the tournament this year was going to be New South Wales. And why not? Why not New South Wales? That bowling lineup: Nathan Lyon, Gurinder Sandhu, Doug Bollinger, Sean Abbott, and Mickey Edwards. Moises Enriquez will probably play the first game, and he's good with the ball as well. And let's not forget, Mitchell Starc might get a run as well, so why not? I think I mentioned this in the last podcast, but I think the batting lineup isn't quite there for New South Wales. I neglected to mention Pete Neville in the last podcast, by the way. He's just been re-signed. He's been signed by the Sydney Sixers to play in the Big Bash this year, leaving the Renegades. We have Nick Manson, Ed Cowan, Peter Neville, Curtis Patterson, and Daniel Hughes. They're going to be the key batsmen for New South Wales. And they're certainly not mugs, but I think they are missing some key players there at New South Wales. They're missing Pat Cummins as well, I think he's playing in India. I really should do my research before doing these things, but Pat Cummins is also not there, so that's going to be a big loss. But again, like I say, they have Doug Bollinger, they have Drew Sandy, they have Sean Abbott. They're not really missing. They're never really missing top flight players at New South Wales, even if the internationals are on. New South Wales is my pick for number one. Who do I believe is going to be in the final with them? I think that's going to be a call between Queensland, Tasmania, and Western Australia. I think Western Australia will go very well. Micah Klinger and Mitchell Marsh and the Marsh brothers will lead that team very well. Will Basisto was on fire for the Cricket Australia 11 maybe last year or the year before when he was captain. Tasmania, of course, have Bailey, Jackson Bird, Cameron Boyce, and Ben Dunk, who was leading run scorer in the Big Bash last season, so let's not forget that. And of course, Queensland will have Kawaja, Burns, and Renshaw, all test players for Australia, all have played test cricket for Australia, and they will certainly have to be the ones to lead Queensland. Should Queensland go far in this tournament, which I believe that they can, I believe that Queensland, Tasmania, and Western Australia will go far in this tournament. Western Australia have been very competitive in this tournament before. They can certainly do it again. Tasmania have not had the best run in this tournament recently, but I believe that might be about to turn around. Their performance, the Hobart Hurricanes didn't play very well in the Big Bash last season, and I think that was the weakest Hobart Hurricanes side that they've ever fielded. The Hobart Hurricanes are usually very strong, but this Tasmania side does look very strong with players. We keep mentioning them, but George Bailey, Cameron Boyce always bowls well. Ben Dunk, leading run scorer in the Big Bash. Only player to have scored a double century in this format of the game, the JLT Cup. And Jackson Bird, of course, who's also played for Australia. So, big tournament coming up. And it all starts in 2 days' time on the 27th, where we are going to see South Australia take on the Cricket Australia 11. Predictions? Well, I'd probably have to back South Australia for the win, just because it is the Cricket Australia 11. Let's not forget South Australia are missing Travis Head, Adam Zampa, and Ken Richardson, but they do still have Callum Ferguson, Alex Carey, Jake Lehman, Jake Weatherald, and Alex Ross, and Cameron Vellante. So South Australia will definitely be competitive. Can the Cricket Australia 11 knock them off? Certainly. We love an underdog story. And they've certainly got the players to do it in Mark Steckety, Henry Thornton, Bo Webster, Daniel Fallons, coached by Matthew Elliott. But I still believe that South Australia can take the win in this first game, playing it on board a field, of course. Always a great venue, always a great place to sit down and watch a game of cricket. Looks wonderful. And don't forget, of course, that it is free entry into that match. All matches this season do have free entry. And don't forget to check out the games. They will all be live streamed via cricket.com.au. And we will be doing highlights, halftime reports, and match reports after the game. So we'll see you for then. South Australia versus Cricket Australia 11. We'll see you then.